Alrighty, folks, we are live from the Kentucky Speedway here for the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series. Runs on Thursday nights. The first or second night race that these drivers have partaken in this series, and right now you are looking live at qualifying for these drivers as they just now begin their qualifying laps. And I am alone in the booth tonight, so we're going to try to make it work. I am Justin Bulls, driver of the number 8 Chevrolet Camaro in the iRacing Virtual Cup Series. And as you see right now, we have got the camera on the number 9 of Jacob Culp as he lays down his qualifying time. And as we get finished with these qualifying times and we set the grid, we're going to talk to some of these drivers, see who's in the Discord, see who we can get an opportunity to talk to here as we get started. But right now, as you see Jacob Culp coming across the line to lay down his lap, and looks like Jeffrey Marble right now has the fastest lap, the winner of the last two events in the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series. And the big thing tonight, can anybody knock off the Marbles? It does not look like Tyler Marble is going to be taking the grid, unfortunately, tonight. So it's going to be up to Jeffrey Marble to continue carry that Marble flag for Team Marble iRacing, as right now he sits atop the leaderboard by over 1/10 of a second. And it's going to be very interesting here as these drivers take on what is one of the trickier tracks. I think you could make that argument. Even though it's a mile and a half, it looks like a cookie cutter. There's so many small little details in this track that make it a little tougher than what it looks. The banking down in turn 3 and 4 is just a tad bit different than the banking in 1 and 2, and very easy to get tight through the center of that corner. And then if you look here, as we're watching Brian Conklin, he comes across the line, that yellow line just kind of jabs out. That was done to widen the exit of pit road for drivers, as this is one of the newer tracks on the NASCAR circuit. And if you look, you would look at this surface and say that the thing has some wear. However, it was repaved less than a decade ago, but they artificially aged it to give it character, according to the track's owners. So that will also play a part tonight as we get ready. It looks like most drivers have completed their qualifying lap, and Jeffrey Marble will sit on the pole. And let's see if we can get anybody up here and talk to him real quick. I am trying to get the Discord situation straightened out at the moment. Hopefully we can grab somebody. And looking down here at Team SRN, let's see if we've got Jacob Culp. He is with he is not in the Discord actually. Let's see who we've got. We got Brandon Browning. Looks like he's going to start from 5th position. Let's see if we can get him up here. Brandon Browning, this is Justin in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir. I got a copy, buddy.
Hey, man, good to see you here tonight again. Looks like you're going to be rolling off. Right now, you're sitting in P5. Looks like that's going to hold. I know you guys are gridding. So what's the strategy for tonight?
The strategy for tonight is just kind of take it easy and let the race come to me. I've turned probably about 300 race laps at Kentucky this week in leagues, on top of all the other open stuff that I've run. So I'm just going to try to let it come to me, and hopefully tonight's the night where we can knock off a good run, because it's been a rough couple weeks for me.
Yeah, man, and we're looking forward to watching you race. And like you said, a rough couple weeks as of late, but it's never too late to turn that around. Looks like the SRN guys, you guys all qualified 2 through 5. It looks like so. Looks like plenty of speed for you guys. Actually, I may be wrong on that, but either way, you guys are grouped together, so you got to stay off of each other. But obviously, this isn't a plate track, isn't? You're not gonna have an opportunity to get together and work with each other, but you can kind of plan out your pit stops and keep from running each other over. I know you guys get a lot of green flag stops here in this league. What's the key to getting on pit road? This one can be tricky as you kind of got to get off of that bank and get onto the apron. What's the key to getting on the pit road?
I don't want to throw too much out in case we got competition over there, but there's a trick to it. It's just not screwing yourself up when you're still on the track. You want to make it to the apron, and once you're to the apron, you're pretty safe on what you do. So back to what you said, though, yeah, these SRN guys this week have put in a lot of work, and they've got us a set that's got us all competitive, I hope, and just thanks to Jason Tripp and everyone for the opportunity, man.
All right, buddy, I'm going to get you back down with your teammates, man. Good luck here tonight.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, had a little trouble getting Brandon back down there. So as we get ready to go back or get under the green flag for the first time tonight, and this one should be an interesting one as 100 laps for these drivers. Let's see what these 100 laps have in store for this iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series field. And right now, if you look, you've got Team Marble on the front row. Jeffrey Marble, Brian Conklin. Those two guys are both part of Team Marble. And obviously, Jeff Marble, I think, has to be the guy to beat. But here we go as they get ready to come to the green flag for the first time tonight. Pace car is down and away. Jeffrey Marble owns the field. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing at Kentucky. As you see already, able to see Jacob Culp and that number 9 Chevrolet Camaro get around Brian Conklin early on. And this is the part of the track I'm interested to see. iRacing had a little bit of an update this week. They made some changes to the dynamic track model, and we could see some more multi-groove racing, something that I think most iRacing users and fans have been yearning to see. And right now, these guys are pretty spread out as we've got some side-by-side action going on already as they come down the back straightaway for the second time. Able to see Brian Conklin working that top groove in, maybe testing out that dynamic track update a little bit, see if he can get some rubber laid down up there and maybe find some speed up there. He got some smoke. I believe that is Jacob Culp, our leader, blinking here in the early going. And we got one in the wall back there. That may have been Brandon Browning in that number 5 machine. I believe it was. Looks like he got a little bit tight off of turn 2 and got up into the wall. And so early trouble already for Brandon, who we just got finished talking to, as they come to tick off lap number 3 and begin lap number 4 here. And these lap times are quick, 30 seconds flat, give or take. Jacob Culp right now the class of the field as he's pulling away from Jeffrey Marble. You see the gap there as they work out of turn 4 back down the front straightaway. And Jacob Culp having some blinking issues. Luckily for him, he is well ahead of anybody who it could affect. But Jeffrey Marble now under fire from the 21 of Daniel Dow, who is also a speed racing driver here. And now he's about to fall under fire from his teammate in the number 6, Daniel Bowdler, as he's going to get around him for the 3rd position. right now it continues to be Jacob Culp in the early going, all the way out front as these drivers now start to group up at the bottom of the racetrack, and Daniel Bowdler is beginning to make a push here, looking to hunt down the 51 of Jeffrey Marble. Let's take a look at the weather for today's race. We've got 89-degree air temp right now, 65% humidity, so it's a muggy one out in Kentucky right now, partly cloudy, 91-degree track temp. But as the sun goes down, as the sun starts to fall behind the grandstands, I fully expect that temperature to continue to drop and create more grip for these drivers. As you can see, it's starting to fade down behind the horizon over in turn number 4. Continues to be Jacob Culp out front leading, still having blinking issues. You got to hope those will clear up if we get somebody up there to challenge for the lead. But right now the battle is for the second place position between the 51 Ford Mustang of Jeffrey Marble and the number 6 Chevy Camaro of Daniel Bowdler, as they have now single filed out most of the way through the field as they come to take lap number 10 of 100, already about to tick off the first 10% of this race. As we may have a pass here for second. Let's see, Jeffrey Marble may be looking to get that drive off of the corner, but Daniel Bowdler is going to clear him as they come out of turn number 2 and work down the back straightaway here at Kentucky. And it looks like we already have an early taker on the pit road, or actually it looks like trouble for the 44 of Tanner Kalin. Not exactly sure what happened to Tanner. Looks like as he was working around Thomas Rutherford, let's see, you can see he's already got a little bit of nose damage there. You see him in that number 44 Toyota Camry. So he's working the high side now around Thomas Rutherford. He gets down to the bottom here and looking to make the pass. He's going to come kind of slide job here through 3 and 4. So far, no trouble. Here's the crossover, and I'm not exactly sure. I think this damage may have been, or the reason he had to pit may have been a heating issue for Tanner Kalin, as he had some severe nose damage. Not exactly sure what the cause of that was. However, it has clearly caused some issues, as right now Jacob Culp has been hunted down by the 6th car of Daniel Bowdler, and Daniel Bowdler may be looking to challenge him for the lead as they drive off into turn number 3. You just saw the pass for the lead. Daniel Bowdler goes right around Jacob Culp. Easy work there. And maybe Jacob Culp may have had that car set up for the short run, because you can see him now sliding back, about to be in the clutches of Jeffrey Marble and Daniel Dow, who are quickly coming up on him. But right now, Daniel Dow is going to look to the bottom side of Jeffrey Marble. Begin to see the field stack up now behind the number 9 car of Jacob Culp he is still continuing to have blinking issues, and he may soon be ordered by race control to drop to the back of this field, as this can now cause some issues as he begins to see some racing around him. But it is now Jeffrey Marble looking to fall in line with Jacob Culp, maybe trying to set up a run here on the 21. He may have it as they come off of turn number 2. Jeffrey Marble working to the bottom now of Daniel Dow, and it seems like both of these guys are just kind of stuck behind the number 9 car of Jacob Culp, and that is allowing our current leader, Daniel Bowdler, to pull away now as he has opened up about a 1.2 second gap over Jacob Culp in that number 9 machine. We just saw Thomas Rutherford working his way around Brian Conklin as they work down the front straightaway. Looks like that number 4 machine has finally cleared the 37. And let's check on our buddy Brandon Browning after he had contact with the wall. And it looks like I may have found the second half of that issue with the 44. As you can see, the back bumper of Brandon Browning is caved in. Something serious, definitely some heavy contact between those two, I do believe. We see these guys finding different grooves through 3 and 4. Not much can be said the same through turn 1 and 2, as these guys seem to really like the bottom, as now Daniel Dow is having issues, and gotta wonder if this may be an iRacing thing more so than a personal internet situation. If you are just joining us, this is the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series from Kentucky Speedway. 20 of 100 laps are about to be ticked off of the board as these guys are at a very solid pace. But we do have green flag pit stops coming up within the next about 10 laps or so, 10 to 15 laps. I do imagine we'll start seeing these guys come on down pit road. And you got to wonder, if Daniel Bowdler, he may be looking in his mirror waiting to see when everybody else comes in before he makes his stop, as it looks like we have our first taker, Brandon Browning. He may be coming here just to get some feel goods to help out the car that he already has put some damage on early on in this race. And the battle continues to be now for the third position between the number 21 of Daniel Dow and the number 51 of Jeffrey Marble, who is now starting to slip back into the clutches of Nick Ramsey and that number 34 Toyota Camry as they work their way off of turn 4 for the 23rd time. Getting closer now to just 75 laps to go in this event. If you're just now tuning in to the channel, be sure to give a like to this video. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series here, as these guys usually put on some great racing, good green flag runs, green flag pit stops. And we saw a whale of a battle last week. You can go and watch the replay of that one right here on the channel. Indianapolis Brickyard 60, Jeffrey Marble wound up finding a way to beat out his son Tyler Marble, who is not in the field tonight. But be sure to go check out the replay of that one if you want to see some great action for these guys. And it has been Jeffrey Marble the last two events. ticking off 2 straight wins at Pocono and then Indianapolis. Tyler Marble got Chicago. Nick Ramsey won the lone road course race we've had in this series. And Jeremy Morrison had back-to-back wins at Kansas and Michigan. And then Tyler Marble won the very first one in a green-white checkered that he made a late pass on his dad, Jeffrey, to steal that one as well. But right now it is all Daniel Bowdler out front showing the way here at Kentucky. Now you start to see the field group up here behind that number 21 Chevrolet of Daniel Dow as these big slide here for Jeffrey Marble, and what a save for that 51. And we saw quite a few of those last week for him as well on his way to a win at the Brickyard. Definitely doesn't want to do that too many times. As you can see, that car starting to get loose now as we start getting closer to green flag pit stops, and he may be one of the early takers because he'll probably want to kind of nip that condition in the bud while he still can. However, as this track continues to cool down, you'll see the grip level go up, and so maybe he has it set up to be that way here in the early going, and when we get down to the last 15-20 laps in this race and that track temp is at the lowest it will be, that could be when he decides he's going to strike, as it is 92-degree track temp at the moment, and these guys continue to battle it out now, but Jeffrey Marble losing quite a few spots as he has now slid 5 spots back to 6th from his starting position in P1, and he is under fire from Jeremy Morrison in his Toyota Camry number 75. And this right here is all that Daniel Bowdler wants to see in his mirror. These guys battling it out, racing for position, slowing each other down, because that is what's happening. And he is able to continue to open up this gap. And if he, as long as he doesn't have any mistakes getting on and off pit road, he should still see a pretty healthy lead as we work through these green flag pit stops. You can see the gap right there, how far out ahead he is from the rest of this field as he works down the back straightaway, and there's the gap, almost one full straightaway now for Daniel Bowdler back to Jacob Kolb in that number 9 car. Right now, the battle forming up is for the 4th position between Daniel Dow and Nick Ramsey. That is what we're focusing on, as we should start seeing some takers on pit road here soon enough, as we are coming to lap number 33 of 100 here at Kentucky. And these guys right here continue to put on these long green flag runs every race, it seems like. But the top 5 from these guys will be eligible to run tomorrow night in the iRacing Virtual Cup Series on Max Speed TV. You can check that series out, the premier series of the the iRacing Virtual Racing League. You can check that series out as those guys are now ticking down to the playoffs, getting closer and closer to the playoffs, as they'll be here at Kentucky tomorrow night. And we look forward to that, and we look forward to seeing what 5 guys make themselves eligible for that race tomorrow night, as that playoff situation is heating up in that series. So be sure to go to Max Speed TV right here on YouTube if you want to check out that series tomorrow night. Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time is when we expect the qualifying session to begin, as we now have some green flag takers. Jeremy Morrison is going to head down pit road for service. Now, I'll be interested to see if Daniel Bowdler chooses to go ahead and come on in now that he's seen the first person come on. He will not this time, and now start to watch and see who wants to come to pit road. Jacob Culp in that number 9 car is heading down to get service, as well as Jeffrey Marble. And now if you're Daniel Bowdler, you can't wait too long, as we've seen about a 2.5 second fall off. Be interested to see if Daniel Bowdler likes to come on down this time, or how long he is willing to stretch this out. And it does look like he is slowing down, and he is going to come on to pit road. No mistakes, it looks like, for Daniel Bowdler, as he is now in pit road. Maintain speed. Do not want to speed at all. Nick Ramsey is going to assume the lead, and he is going to lead that lap, as it now looks like the entire field is on pit road ready for service for their racing machines. And it is Nick Ramsey now out front. See when he decides to come down pit road, as this is a 2-stop race. No matter how you cut it, at least about 35 laps or so is where the fuel run is. So if these guys stretch it out, you know, that full run, they should be good to come on in. And you see Nick Ramsey going to go ahead and get service for that racing machine. You see Daniel Bowdler now exiting pit road, and Tanner Kalin right now has assumed the lead. He pitted earlier after some contact and some heavy nose damage, so he's probably hoping for a caution if I had to guess. Although with as spread out as the field is, I wouldn't bank on it if I was Tanner Kalin, as Daniel Bowdler is now going to be under fire from Jacob Culp here as they work their way off of turn number 4 onto the Kentucky front stretch. And this is essentially the battle for the lead. We'll see how far back Nick Ramsey is going to cycle out, as you see him there exiting pit road. And Jacob Culp is going to drive his way to the lead with that short run speed that he had early on, and he clearly has now. And if you want to see just how closely or how quickly these guys are closing the gap on Tanner Kalin, let's pull up the gearbox view and let's go on board and just watch how quickly these guys are going to pull up to the back bumper of Tanner Kalin and subsequently get around him. He is going to set a pick. Oh my goodness gracious. And that got a little hairy there, as that allows Daniel Bowdler to drive around the outside back to the point here at Kentucky. That track temp has not fallen all that much now. Just 1 degree to 91 since the last time we checked it. And if Jeffrey Marble is hoping for some more grip, he's not going to find it until that track temp falls at least another 5 to 6 degrees. You can see how these guys have broken away from this second group of cars that Jeffrey Marble is looking to lead on the outside, and ooh, almost big trouble there between Tanner Kalin and Nick Ramsey. That got incredibly tight there. Luckily, no issue for either one of them, as they both are going to be able to roll away. However, I don't know exactly what happened, if contact was made. If so, we'll have to keep an eye on Nick Ramsey and see how that affects him. Although right now he is putting the pressure on Thomas Rutherford for that fourth position. He is going to take it as they go down into turn number 3. And we have trouble for Daniel Dow in that number 21 car. Let's see what happened to him. Oh, it looks like he's just going to lose it here, and that is a hard lick to the outside wall. And you can see that's going to push that nose in ever so slightly. No caution as we stay green. It was out of the way of anybody who it could have affected. And yeah, big trouble there for Daniel Dow as he was having a good run in that number 21 SRN Chevrolet. That is so easy to do. It's just so easy to lose control of that car, to let that back end slide out, and then when you try to correct it, when you try to save it, you've got that wheel turning right. You're thinking, please bite, please bite, please bite. And then when it finally does, you've got that wheel turned a little too much, as we just saw Jacob Culp got into that outside wall off of turn number 4. And looks like guys may be starting to have some handling issues as we wear on longer into this race. Right now it is all Daniel Bowdler out front, and we're going to go to our version of Crank It Up. I'm going to mute my mic and let you guys listen to the sounds of Kentucky Speedway. right, you got to hear some of those wonderful sounds of Kentucky Speedway here, and it continues to be Daniel Bowdler. But while we were listening in to these cars and the power that they possess, we also had some green flag pit stops, and now we see some short pitters in all throughout the field, really. And be interesting to see, how things go for those guys as they are now looking to try to make up time on the leader, Daniel Bowdler. You see Nick Ramsey just made a pass for second place, and he is now about 5.5 seconds behind our leader, Daniel Bowdler. We see Brandon Browning continue to hang back. He is still in the back, but he's hanging in there, trying to turn laps, collect points, and an unfortunate day here for Brandon Browning and Daniel Dow, his teammate. But right now, still Daniel Bowdler and all Daniel Bowdler out front, as this field has gotten quite separated. No debris cautions in iRacing. So, and of course, Daniel Bowdler does not want to see any incidents with anybody. We had that one incident with Daniel Dow. It did not trigger a caution. However, as iRacing determined that it wasn't close enough to anybody that he could get off the track before it was an issue. But as we have just completed lap number 62, 38 to go here in this race. And once these guys get inside of that pit window for to make this their last stop, I imagine you'll see them come down pit road. See Tanner Kalin, one of the guys who we saw pit, just got his lap back, I do believe. So he should be back on the lead lap if I'm not mistaken. And maybe trying to short pit here and make up some time. And so now if Daniel Bowdler has to, it looks like Jeffrey Marble had an issue here. Looks like he may have went off track. See what happened to Jeffrey Marble. Like he is working through turn number 4. That's number 2. It looks like the issue is going to be off of turn 4. It is showing me an off track, so I would assume he got down into that infield grass. And we saw him get loose earlier off of turn number 4. And this may be the same deal here as he comes off of 4. Oh, he gets hard into the wall through the grass. Not a smooth ride at all for Jeffrey Marble. And he is now slid back to the 5th position as we see Brian Conklin on pit road. And now here comes our leader, Daniel Bowdler. And what I'll be interested to see now is Tanner Kalin in his situation. He may have just been getting a second lap back because he did have that issue earlier in the year. That is what it appears to be. So right now Nick Ramsey is our leader, and I imagine we'll see him come to pit road here shortly. I think if I was Nick Ramsey there, I think I would have tried to short pit, maybe try to save some fuel and see if I can't make up some time on our leader Daniel Bowdler. However, it's hard to save fuel and cut into a gap, of course. So right now, I think the field is well within Daniel Bowdler's hands as our lead has now transferred over to Thomas Rutherford in that number 4 car. And he is going to bring his Chevrolet Camaro onto pit road, and looks like that is going to cycle the lead back out to Daniel Bowdler in that number 6 car. The only question is by how much exactly. The field is going to work their way off of turn 4. Daniel Bowdler, after green flag pit stops, has opened up his lead to about 6 seconds now. And as long as we don't see any cautions, I believe this one should belong to that number 6 car, who has had a couple of heartbreakers already this season. You're able to see the field working through some lap traffic there, as that was the number 9 of Jacob Culp trying to get his way around, the number 5 of Brandon Browning, and the number 21 of Daniel Dow. I'm sorry, the number 44 of Tanner Kalin is who that was. But I mean, this right now is just, this is in the hands of Daniel Bowdler, as he is got about a 4.5 second lead, so maybe losing some time here to Nick Ramsey, but I can't imagine Daniel Bowdler is pushing the car all that hard, and I imagine that Nick Ramsey is probably driving it with everything he has got, just trying to make up whatever time he can possibly make up, as he was about a half a second faster than our leader that last lap. We see Jeremy Morrison entering the pit lane, maybe going to try to come down, get some fresh tires, and see how much ground he can make up, see if he can pick up any more spots, as pretty much he was locked into that 7th position had he just continued to ride right there. So Daniel Dow coming on down pit road as well. Maybe these guys are on a little different cycle here, and but it continues to be Daniel Bowdler who pretty much matched Nick Ramsey's lap time there. So it looks like the gap is plateaued at about 4.2 seconds between those two. Nick Ramsey cut it down by about 3 more tenths that lap. Got it down to 3.9 there momentarily. It's now back up to 4 seconds, but Nick Ramsey trying to chip away at that lead of Daniel Bowdler. And here in the late goings of this race, 22 laps to go when they cross the line this time, and that gap is at about 4 seconds. Let's go on board with Nick Ramsey to see if he can continue to try to chip away at that lead slowly but surely. I think it's pretty safe to say that those tires have been all but melted off of that number 34 Toyota Camry. But you see, right now it is just all Daniel Bowdler as he is just maintaining that gap, and it's now opening right back up as it is up to 5.1 seconds. Oh, big contact there. Big contact, and that is going to bring out the caution, I'm pretty sure. Yep, and there is the yellow flag that Daniel Bowdler did not want to see. And let's find out what happened here, as I was actually turned away there momentarily. Looked like it involved the 34 of Nick Ramsey and the 5 of Brandon Browning. And let's see what happened. I am not sure what happened there. And that has some huge implications there. I'm not sure what exactly happened with the 5 there. It looked like, I don't know if maybe he thought he was gonna go to his outside, and so he was trying to get down to the bottom here. Maybe just some miscommunication between a lap car. Yeah, I think that may have been what that was there. Just some miscommunication there, and he was trying to give him the outside, but the 34 thought that he should have stayed on the outside, and so he was going to go to the inside there, and that's all. But what I see with that issue, and now with 15 laps to go, I mean this kind of turns into anybody's race. I think anybody can make the right adjustments here and have that short run speed to be able to steal one away from Daniel Bowdler. Obviously not the caution that he wanted to see at all. It is going to be Daniel Bowdler going to lead the race off of pit road. Jacob Culp will be in second. Thomas Rutherford in that number 4 car. He is going to restart in third. That may be the perfect place to be for him, as we have got just 15 laps remaining here after the first caution of the night. An incident, it looks like just miscommunication between the lap car of Brandon Browning and second place runner Nick Ramsey, who is still on pit road. A huge bummer for Nick Ramsey. And let's go back and watch this from his cockpit and just see what exactly happened. This is on board with the 34 car of Nick Ramsey, running second at the time. And you see Brandon Browning way up top, but Nick Ramsey arcs his exit here, as most people do. And yeah, it looks like it just looks like at the time Brandon Browning thought that he was going to go on to the outside and he tried to move down. Unfortunately, he may have been okay had it not been for that second hit there that got him up into the outside wall nose first. As we're going to come to 13 laps to go. I do believe they will get the 1 to green this time, and we should take the green flag here with 12 to go. And we know Jacob Culp has got that short run speed. We saw him pull away early on, and so he can definitely be a player here. He might be able to steal one away from Daniel Bowdler. We'll see. Obviously, I think one reason you can argue that, they didn't want to, that if anybody thought that was intentional by Brandon Browning, could argue that maybe it wasn't, just because his teammate was out, to a 6-second lead and pulling away as the lights remain on the pace car. So we will have at least 2 more pace laps here. But you could argue that, Brandon Browning would not want to do anything to jeopardize his teammate's win. Actually, the same issue happened with me and my teammate Chad Gettingsman in the Cup Series that runs on Friday night. Chad had a huge lead at Michigan, or maybe not Michigan, but it might have been Chicagoland, and I was actually a lap down and just got loose and spun and costed my teammate Chad a win. So, things like that happen. That's part of racing. So, unfortunate for Nick Ramsey, of course, and he is going to find his place in line in that number 34, and you got to wonder just how much damage he sustained. I have a hard time believing that he is not looking at least a little bit of engine damage, and if that is the case, that is going to all but ruin his chances here tonight. So these guys should get the 1 to go signal here, and if I'm Jacob Culp, I want these caution laps to keep ticking away. I want to have as few laps, maybe 6 or 7. Obviously, he's not going to have that. He should have 11 to go when we take the green flag. But, if should see the lights go off on the pace car here. If they do, I think 11 laps. Yep, they do go off, and the field will get double file. Our leader Daniel Bowdler is going to take the inside line. But if we see quick caution, the less and less laps we have here in late, I think the more it plays. into the hands of Jacob Colt, because we saw he has that short run speed, he has that short run car. So be interesting to see if he can steal one away from Daniel Bowdler. Obviously not at all what Daniel Bowdler wanted to see with that caution, and we continue to reiterate that. But that's just a lonely feeling when you're that out front. You've got this thing in the bag. The only thing you need to happen is for the laps to just continue to tick away. And unfortunately did not tick away fast enough for him. And he is going to be the leader here on this restart. But with 11 laps to go, that 6-second lead is erased. So the pace car is going to guide the field through turn 3. And he will take that elusive dive off of turn 4 as we get ready to go back racing here in the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series from Kentucky. Pace car is down. Daniel Bowdler gets a great jump. Green flag in the air. And Thomas Rutherford actually is going to be able to work to the inside of Jacob Colt for that second position, and that's not at all what Jacob Colt wanted out of this restart. And Brian Conklin is also going to take advantage of that bottom line to get around Jacob Colt, and he's going to look to the bottom side of Thomas Rutherford. And we could see a little 3-wide action here as they work off of turn 4. Nick Ramsey with the big slide and a great save as he is still trying to have a say in the result of this race. Thomas Rutherford is trailing that number 6 machine of Daniel Bowdler. He is looking to steal one away from his teammate, though, as we come off of turn number 2. Coming to 9 laps to go this time, and you see Thomas Rutherford got a great run out of turn 2 and looking to try to carry that momentum off of 4 again. We see the field starting to get spread out. Oh man, and the 9 car goes around the nose of the, I believe that was a 37, and that may have been an issue with the blinking that we saw earlier. And you're going to see it. We actually need to be on the 37 here, Brian Conklin, because I believe, yep, he just blinks out and then he just comes across his nose. And the thing is, though, is even when he's blinked out, he should still be able to see that 37 car. So, not exactly sure what happened there between those two. But Daniel Bowdler is just not at all excited to see these yellow flag laps. And what gets interesting now is even though we only put a few laps on these tires, these guys do have a tire limit. They should have plenty to take. So it'll be interesting to see who takes tires, who does not take tires here. See if they can get that extra few tenths out of them. If I'm in the back of the pack, I think I'm going to take them for sure. I've got them. Might as well use them. The field continues to pace under caution. 7 laps remaining here in this one. Daniel Bowdler just wants to see a checkered flag. That is the only flag he wants to see as he continues to show the way around Kentucky Speedway. Saw a few takers there on that lap, and I think if I wasn't in this top 3, I think I would have pitted, honestly. I think that extra few tenths is completely worth it, especially considering it's either a win or nothing here in this series with the smaller field. So you might as well go for it, as we should see the one to go signal this time as they come across the stripe, and we should have a 5-lap shootout to the end. Still have not seen the lights go out on that Ford Mustang pace car, and so we will have at least 2 more laps under caution here. So this should see a 4-lap run to the end. And we talked about it. Jeffrey Marble, like I said, he took the tires. He went ahead and pitted. He's on the most recent pit stop, and even though it was only 7 laps, and maybe 4 of those green flag laps, I think you can expect him to have, even if it's 1/10 faster, over 5 laps. If he gets a good restart here, he could get up there and challenge for the win, as I believe we are coming to 1 to green this time. And still have not seen those lights go out. This is an incredibly long pace caution here. I'm not exactly sure why, but definitely not what Daniel Bowdler wanted to see. I don't think. I don't know though. If you haven't, few enough laps, and he can get that jump, and then nobody can really get to him. But see the field starting to break up now. We should see the 1 to go signal this time by, and we will have a 3-lap shootout to decide this one. And it has been all Daniel Bowdler, but the late cautions that we knew he did not want to see have completely made this thing even. And we've got 7 cars on the lead lap in contention to try to settle this thing out and decide a winner here. Field is going to work down the back straightaway. We will see the green flag this time. These guys do have 3 opportunities at a green-white checkered finish, so we'll see if that comes into play tonight, and if so, how many will it take? See the field getting really, really grouped up here. As everybody knows, this is their only chance. Could be their only chance if we see the white flag. But I think everybody also knows they've got to stick with Daniel Bowdler in that number 6 car if anybody wants to have a shot at the win here. Daniel Bowdler is going to lead them to the restart zone. Green flag in the air. Daniel Bowdler with yet another great jump. And it is Nick Ramsey all over the back bumper of that number 4 machine of Thomas Rutherford. Brian Conklin to his inside. He wants to shoot up to that first position, or that second position, excuse me. And Jeffrey Marble is he's lurking back there on those fresher tires. As we may see 3 wide. No, they're going to get it sorted out before. And you see that 34 car got really tight there into turn 3. Brian Conklin trying to find some extra speed off the corner. Not going to be able to do it. And Thomas Rutherford is going to get out into second position. And he may have done that just in time, as he's going to have a little bit of time now to get to Daniel Bowdler in that number 6 car as they work down the back straightaway. For the next to final time, Thomas Rutherford going to dive it down into turn 3. He is just a couple of car lengths off of the back bumper of the leader, Daniel Bowdler, as they come off of 4. Coming to the white flag. Last lap for Daniel Bowdler. As they get ready now to go down into turn number 1, Thomas Rutherford is trying to get everything he can out of that Chevrolet and see if he can get to the back bumper of Daniel Bowdler, but he is quickly running out of time, as it is Daniel Bowdler who's going to lead him off into turn number 3 through turn number 4 for the final time. Daniel Bowdler is going to hold on for his first win in the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series here at Kentucky. You see, Daniel Bowdler is our winner. Thomas Rutherford just couldn't quite get to him. Brian Conklin finished 3rd, Nick Ramsey 4th, Jeremy Morrison 5th, Jacob Colton 6th, 7th was Jeffrey Marble, 8th Brandon Browning, 9th Daniel Dow, 10th Tanner Palin, and Keaton did not take the green flag here tonight. So Daniel Bowdler is going to grab the win here in the iRacing Virtual Qualifier Series, pushing himself to tomorrow night's Cup Series race. Congratulations to Daniel Bowdler. And for those who tuned in tonight, we do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you over on Max Speed TV tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time to watch the Kentucky race for the iRacing Virtual Cup Series.